Now to the conclusion of our series, Wall Street's Hottest Funds. Today we look at the Artisan Mid Cap Fund, which has a one-year return of 48% and a five-year return of 9%. Joining us to discuss the fund and where he sees investment opportunities is Managing Director and Partner Andrew Stevens, and he joins us now from Milwaukee. Mr. Stevens, welcome to Bottom Line. Appreciate you coming on today.
Hi there, Mark. Happy Friday.
You too, sir. You look for profit cycles by region and sector. How do you do that, and how does that give you an edge over other funds that might take a bigger picture approach?
You're correct, Mark. We do. We consider ourselves profit cycle hunters, and we've got a large group of people, and that's all that we do is we focus on those profit cycles. Profit cycles in our mind come from two distinct places. Either internal changes within existing franchise companies, new management teams, acquisitions, divestitures, new product cycles, or they come from big change in the world, things like technological breakthroughs, demographic change, regulatory events. So those are the things we're looking for.
Sir, you were talking about the management changes, and you believe that that's an internal catalyst, but that's not always a positive. How do you navigate that maze?
You know, many times it comes down to who that new manager is, who the new CEO is, and why the board has gone out to recruit them, and whether we have experience with that person, quite honestly. And it's never a trigger immediately for us, but it's a trigger to get the work done and get to know that person and try to understand what they're doing.
Sir, you just mentioned regulation. What role does it play in your metrics?
Well, we look for, you know, our view is that when you get regulatory change, and that is when the rules change, it can make vast winners and losers within industries. So what we try to do is understand what that regulatory change is, and then who's well positioned for it and who's not well positioned for it.
Is this a question because you hear about a lot of people have been criticizing this White House and this administration for government overreach and saying there's been too much regulation? At some point, then, is it a seismic shift and people perhaps don't understand that sometimes regulation is not necessarily a good thing?
Yeah, many times regulation is not a good thing.
Fair enough. Let's get to some of your picks. Let's begin with Citrix. It's a software company that specializes in desktop virtualization. Tell us about it.
Yeah, think of it as, you know, in the very big picture, the technological change, if you will, that's created the opportunity is this idea, the ability to have mobile computing, that your workers can now be mobile. They can now get their applications wherever they are. It may be at their desktop, it may be out on the road on a tablet computer. Citrix enables that ability. It allows people to either have a desktop that can host applications from someplace else or to host those remotely on your smartphone or your tablet. And that's where we're going. And Citrix is one of the key enablers.
Sir, you also like Fossil. Why is it so big on international markets?
My own personal view is if I was going to name the trend, I would call it affordable bling. Yeah. And I think what we see in a lot of these emerging markets is, you know, as the per capita income goes up, there's a desire to want to differentiate yourself and label yourself and make yourself interesting. And one of the ways you do that is through your accessories. And so we've seen, and Fossil is experiencing great growth in the emerging markets from selling what I'll call affordable bling.
One of the companies that you like, and it piqued my interest, Edwards Life Sciences, and they're into the production of heart valve replacements, but it's not your typical heart valve replacement because the surgery does not have to be, as we've come to know, invasive, where surgeons literally have to crack open your chest.
That's exactly right. Historically, you've had to have your chest cracked open and a heart valve put in. It required a long recovery, and more importantly, there were many people who were just not strong enough to have that surgery. Today, you can go through a catheter. You can go up a catheter through the leg into the heart, replace the heart valve, and be out without opening the chest. And it's revolutionizing heart valve replacement surgery.
Sir, in our last 90 seconds, I also wanted to mention that you have a Growth Opportunities Fund, and that's been open to the public for about 2 years now. And you like Wynn Macau and Weir Group. Tell us about them.
We do. Our Global Opportunities Fund is really, it's the opportunity for us to spread our research and find these profit cycles wherever they occur in the world, not just necessarily in the U.S. And so we've had a lot of fun with this product, and we think it's quite compelling. Weir Group is really an investment on the theme of horizontal drilling. And if you're not familiar with it, it's this idea that you no longer just have to go down and find a big reservoir of oil or gas, but you can actually turn the drill bit into a very narrow sliver of potential resources and exploit them. And that's a technological breakthrough, and Weir is one of the two companies that supplies the big high horsepower pumps that allow you to do that. It just happens to be a UK-based company.
And in our last... No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And Wynn Macau is just, you know, there's not a lot of growth in Las Vegas right now, but there sure is a lot of growth in luxury spending in China, and a lot of those dollars are flowing to Macau. And so it's you know, we take our knowledge of gaming from here in the U.S. and we apply it to the markets that are actually growing. And it makes Wynn Macau a good investment for us.
Andrew Stevens, he's managing director and partner of the Artisan Mid Cap Fund, joining us from Milwaukee. Mr. Stevens, thanks so much for your participation in this series. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate you having me on today.
Thank you, sir.